The Democrat shadow circus is in full swing as Adam Schiff and company stage a kangaroo court media spectacle with one goal: smear President Trump while hiding their own corruption. This is not oversight. It's political theater of the most desperate kind. In what appears to be a converted janitor's closet, Democrats are trotting out whistleblowers and former bureaucrats to cry about being fired from cushy government jobs. They're comparing Trump to Hitler again, claiming he's destroying democracy and planning to stay in power forever. But America sees through their charade. Trump isn't subverting justice. He's finally restoring it by draining the swamp that weaponized federal agencies against American citizens. And we've got all the receipts in this special report. And while Democrats stage elaborate hearings to cover up their crimes, there is something else being covered up in Washington: the secret to legendary energy at any age. Have you noticed how these shadow hearings and political witch hunts drag on endlessly? It takes tremendous energy to fight back against the swamp. That's why I was shocked to see this 84-year-old Chuck Norris still kicking butt, working out, and staying more active than men half his age. While career bureaucrats are crying about accountability, Chuck discovered a simple change that makes him feel 30 years younger. His wife tried it too, feels a decade younger with more energy all day. Don't let the deep state exhaust you. Visit chuckdefense.com/next to watch Chuck's special video that explains his age-defying secret. It's linked below. Adam Schiff was just confronted in the last 24 hours in the halls of Congress, or in the underground of the Senate, and complaining about talking about opening another investigation, but this time into insider trading on Trump.
How concerned are you with this market fluctuation, and are you concerned that there could be members of the White House that are benefiting from it?
Absolutely. I'm writing to the White House to demand who knew in advance that the president was going to once again flip-flop on tariffs, and are people cashing in? There is just all too much opportunity for people in the White House and the administration to be insider trading, and you can't put it past them for a minute. So we're going to try to find out.
There's a good chance they'll just ignore you, though, right? Should there be some other independent investigation into this?
Well, I think Congress should do an investigation into this, but we're going to demand answers from the administration. I think you're right. They're likely to stonewall, particularly if they've been engaged in corrupt insider trading. But they won't be able to hide it for good. I mean, we know who's in the administration. We can look at eventually what people are buying and selling. This will come out. But an administration that has their own meme coins and is already engaged in self-interested dealing when Elon is doging agencies that are doing oversight of his own businesses, in that kind of corrupt climate, you have to assume the worst, and we're going to try to find out.
Assume the worst. We only assume the worst with you, Adam Schiff, pencil neck, watermelon head. Yeah, he's launching an investigation. Yeah, you may have seen early in the day Trump tweet this: "Now this is a good time to buy." Who knew what the president was going to do? People around the president trading stock, knowing incredible gyration the market was about to do. Yeah, the only people doing insider trading are people in Congress, okay? Adam Schiff being one of them, and his buddy Nancy Pelosi. So let's get to that shadow hearing. I know you guys want to hear about this. Not many people were speaking about it. The Democrats staged a fake trial to smear Trump while hiding their own criminal empire. Now, we've got some video from it. Adam Schiff crying about the rule of law while running a kangaroo court out of a broom closet. Listen to this.
An adversary, or we are here today because the rule of law and democracy in the United States is under attack. Not by a foreign adversary or some distant threat. The rule of law is being attacked and subverted from within, from an administration intoxicated by its own power and enabled by a supine Congress. Donald Trump is taking unprecedented steps to bend our justice system to his will, and his administration is moving systematically and swiftly to dismantle the legal pillars that hold up our democracy: the independence of the legal system, the idea of impartial justice, the right to counsel, and the principle that no one, not even a president, is above the law. If Donald Trump and his personal criminal defense lawyers, now running the Justice Department, succeed, the consequences will be profound. The impact will be felt by Americans from all walks of life and by future generations. This is why Ranking Member Raskin and I have taken the extraordinary step of convening this unprecedented hearing. We brought together both chambers of Congress, the Senate and the House, to conduct real oversight and to serve as a check and balance, to hold those who misuse power to account and to carry out our constitutional duty. Convening this hearing.
That reminds me of the sham J6 committee. Yeah, how many Republicans are on this committee, actually, right?
Was not our first choice. We have tried to get our Republican colleagues to hold hearings, to do meaningful oversight, to assert Congress's authority as an independent branch of government. But to our great disappointment, our Republican colleagues have abdicated that important responsibility. They have stood by as the president has run roughshod over the legislative branch and turned Congress into little more than a rubber stamp. So today we'll hold the first of what we hope will be more bicameral oversight hearings. We will do the investigative work that our colleagues across the aisle refuse.
Yeah, how about you oversight these nuts, bro? They're comparing Trump to Nazis again. Desperate. Democrats cite Hitler, Hungary, the ghost stories to gaslight Americans into fearing the man who brought peace and jobs and law enforcement back. They're projecting.
Legal system remains. In the 1930s, a Jewish lawyer in Berlin tracked in meticulous detail how Germany gradually became what he called a dual state. First, to keep the country running, the ordinary legal system remained in place for most people. And yet, step by step, a parallel system of governance and law emerged, what one scholar called a lawless zone. A parallel system to carry out the will of the leader and to go after his enemies, real or perceived, to punish, to reward, to co-opt, to intimidate, silence, or take over institutions that make a society free and vibrant. The courts, the lawyers, the universities, the press, even businesses. And over time, the emerging authoritarianism would swallow what remained of the rule of law. And now Hungary provides a more present-day warning. Methodically, Viktor Orban has tried to dismantle the independence of Hungary's judicial system, its education system and free press, undermining democracy while pretending to uphold the law. And
wow, Russia, Russia, Russia. That's all I hear when he's talking. Here we have this. Whistleblowers backed by Schiff and Raskin. Give us a break. These people are crying about armed marshals and intimidation while their own party weaponizes the DOJ against parents and conservatives daily.
Market with his, even in the face of great pressure, each of you has stood tall and held fast to your oath to uphold the Constitution and the integrity of the legal profession. Just as the president has crashed the stock market with his illegal tariffs, he has crashed the justice system with his dreadful appointments and vindictive policies. He's filled the leadership of the Department of Justice with his personal lawyers, unapologetically extremist sycophants like Kash Patel and Ed Martin, who elevate their devotion to Trump over any semblance of fidelity to the Constitution, the rule of law, and the rules of professional responsibility. We're grateful to you, witnesses, for having the courage to speak up against this outrageous corruption of our justice system as it came to affect you, and we're eager to hear your important stories. You will teach America how to stand tall. Ms. Oyer, I understand the Deputy Attorney General tried to send armed marshals to your home at night to deliver a clear message not to speak to us at today's hearing. And yet,
I mean, can you imagine? I mean, you know, Jeremy Raskin, he had cancer for a while. I guess it's in remission. But can you imagine being a cancer cell feasting on this guy? I mean, I think the cancer cell would get cancer.
I see you here today undaunted and unbowed, proving to Mr. Blanche and any other Trump official that you can't bully and silence everyone.
This is the kind of thing we expect from tin pot dictatorships in other parts of the world. But these kinds of attacks on lawyers and the rule of law are unprecedented in the United States of America. They are not normal, and we cannot allow them to continue. I look forward to hearing from the witnesses, and thank you for your courage coming forward today. It's important that we hear this story that each of you has lived. And I want to close by saying to all those who gathered across America and who communicate through social media, asking what Congress is doing to try to stop these excesses and these violations of the Constitution, remember what happens on this day, because on this day, I think we are making history at the right moment.
Yeah, you are making history, Tricky Dick. You're exposing yourself to the American people again. Another sob story, fired DOJ bureaucrat claims she was traumatized for being escorted out. Welcome to accountability, sweetheart. Trump's cleaning house, and they hate it. That's why they are running this sham hearing.
When I was fired, exactly 1 month ago, I was terminated from my job as the Justice Department's pardon attorney.
Wah, 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 wah.
The pardon attorney is a non-political position that is entrusted with advising the president about the exercise of his constitutional clemency power. When I was fired, there were over 6,000 applications pending from ordinary Americans around the country who were seeking the president's mercy and second chances through clemency. I had planned to talk today about the events leading up to my firing, but some more recent developments have persuaded me to focus my time on the callous cruelty with which DOJ leadership is treating dedicated public servants like myself.
I'm sure you'll be just fine in the private sector, honey.
This began with my abrupt firing. It was 2 o'clock on a Friday afternoon. I was in a conference room meeting with colleagues from several different DOJ offices. We were brainstorming about how to implement a priority of the Attorney General. Halfway through the meeting, I was frantically pulled out by my deputy. In the hallway, she broke the news to me that security officers were waiting for me in my office to serve me with termination papers and escort me out of the building. I rushed back to my office. There, I was handed a 3-sentence memo signed by Deputy Attorney General Todd Blanche, firing me effective immediately. I had never met Mr. Blanche, and I received no explanation for his decision. That afternoon, I walked out of the building for the last time carrying a grocery bag filled with my personal effects.
Oh, man. Oh, I could just see it now, right?
I had no time to say goodbye to my team. I was in shock. Everyone I passed on the way out was looking on in shock and horror. I want Deputy Attorney General Blanche and Attorney General Bondi to know it is traumatic for everyone in an entire organization to see a beloved colleague and leader treated that way.
Obviously, you weren't that beloved, honey.
My heart aches for my colleagues who had to go back into that office on Monday with no explanation from DOJ leadership and no assurances about what the future holds for them. They are good, dedicated people, and they deserve better. Exactly 1 month.
Yeah, so sad. Here's one DOJ flunky says Trump's purging career officials. Well, that's good news. The swamp doesn't drain itself. These aren't patriots. They're lifers, mad they can't play politics with immunity anymore. The real courage is standing up to them.
Like firm leaders, I am afraid of where this intimidation campaign leads. But unlike most of them, I will not allow my fear to manifest as silence. I choose courage. Thank you.
Thank you.
She's choosing courage, everybody. She's going to go line up with Shifty Schiff in this kangaroo court and cry because she's part of the Doge purge. So sad. I'm sure there was a really good reason why you got canned, honey.
Your testimony, and I hope your courage and that of your two colleagues seated behind you will be contagious among the bar.
The Justice Department's 115,000 employees come to work every day to uphold the rule of law, keep our country safe, and protect our civil rights. All but a few hundred of these employees are career civil servants. The department's employees shield our communities from gun violence, prevent terrorist attacks on American soil, investigate and prosecute drug traffickers responsible for the deadly fentanyl epidemic, and so much more. Yet the Trump administration has unleashed an all-out assault on these public servants who are now facing attacks on their employment, their integrity, their well-being, and even their safety. The attacks on the department's workforce are too widespread and numerous to catalog in a single hearing. But I'd like to highlight 3 particular aspects that are especially alarming. First, the administration's purge of career law enforcement and national security employees makes us less safe. Congress should be deeply concerned about the termination of some of the most senior leaders at the FBI and the ouster of top officials from the department's National Security Division, Criminal Division, and ATF. Removing these investigators and prosecutors has left our communities more vulnerable to violent crime and terrorism. But department officials must still follow ethical requirements, court rules, governing statutes, and the Justice Manual. Increasingly, career employees are being told that to keep their jobs, they must ignore their ethical duties and oath to uphold the Constitution. We should all be grateful to Erez Raveni and others who choose the rule of law over partisan loyalty, a choice DOJ employees should never be forced to make.
Your courage is heroic to us, and I want to say to you and your family, thank you, and we are with you, and we're going to stand by you.
On your testimony, you applied the same standard, did you not, with reference to Mel Gibson, you would apply to anyone. That is, you looked at the facts to determine whether you should recommend restoration of gun rights. You didn't consider friendship with the president or any other impermissible consideration. You just looked at the facts. Is that right?
Like firm leaders, I am afraid of where this intimidation campaign leads. But unlike most of them, I will not allow my fear to manifest as silence.
I'm going to choose courage. They claim Trump's rebuilding DOJ to destroy democracy. No, he's ripping the deep state out by the roots. Let's be clear. The only thing destroyed is their control over America's legal system, and that's why they're panicking.
I think that ultimately, because these executive orders have pointed to past representation, particularly challenging the government, it's massively dissuading large corporate law firms from taking cases that might be viewed as problematic to the Trump administration. They were instrumental in 2016 in bringing challenges against unconstitutional action, but it's not limited to 2016. Large corporate law firms provide a significant amount of financial and staffing resources to public interest organizations that are challenging unconstitutional actions under both Democratic and Republican presidents. They also provide an immense amount of direct services work, like to migrants seeking asylum and to veterans seeking benefits, things that the president alleges may be frivolous or counter to his interests.
Man, whoever knew, like, you could actually see the deep state talk. Trump wants to stay in power forever, that's what they scream. The same people who rig elections, weaponize intel agencies, and silence opposition. He's not planning a coup. They're mad he's stopping theirs.
After losing the 2020 election, the lame duck President Donald Trump embarked upon an illicit and multi-pronged scheme to remain in office beyond his term. This plan culminated in the January 6, 2021 insurrection, which failed. But Donald Trump wasn't finished. Over the next 4 years, he hatched a plan to create the conditions where, if he won the presidency again, he would never have to leave office. And during that planning process, Trump was given an assist when the Supreme Court of the United States, which he magnified with 3 appointees, ran the clock out on efforts to prosecute him while giving him immunity from prosecution for official acts while in office. Once back in the White House and with immunity so that he was above the law, Trump's first order of business was to destroy the rule of law so that he could then systematically dismantle our democracy. And
man, that sounds like a pretty damn elaborate conspiracy theory coming out of this guy.
Would be no checks on his illegal behavior. In less than 100 days, he has turned the Department of Justice into the Department of Injustice.
Wow. This keeps going. Democrats are now shaming law firms for working with Trump. So now representing a president is a crime, right? They want a one-party legal system where only their allies get lawyers. My friends, that is called tyranny.
Existential crisis.
How is it that some of the most prestigious and powerful law firms in this country feel that they have to act in this way?
I wish I had a good answer for you, but when I read things like Brad Karp saying that it was an existential crisis for a firm whose profit per equity partner was over $7 million last year, I don't know what to tell you. I apologize.
That's right. That's exactly right. It's not an existential crisis where they're going to lose some money. We're talking about the rule of law. It's disgusting. And the courage that you have to be here when so many of your senior colleagues say nothing and grovel to a would-be king speaks volumes about your integrity. We're in strange times. There were protests across the nation. This weekend, the Chief Justice of the Vermont State Supreme Court.
Wait, there were protests this weekend? Oh, she's talking about the paid ones, the Soros-funded ones. I get so confused between real and AstroTurf.
Trust me, does not usually comment on political matters. He said, quote, "No prior administration has taken such concerted action against the bar. An effort to erode an institutional pillar designed to check abuse of power." When the Chief Justice is finding his voice and speaking publicly, you would think that some law firms could do the same. When it's
maybe the Chief Justice is compromised. They're also crying about birthright citizenship and detained activist translation. Trump enforced immigration law, period. They want open borders and no accountability. That's the real issue they have.
Or his personal, but in the history of this country, the president has ever weaponized the law to this extent. No president has done that before. For his personal benefit and in the service.
Wait, what? What? No, what? Chuy Garcia, what are you talking about? No president has ever weaponized the government. We witnessed it for 4 freaking years, pal. Talk about gaslighting and projecting. What planet are these people on?
The law to this extent. No president has done that before. For his personal benefit and in the service of outright authoritarianism. My colleagues have highlighted many important issues, and I want to focus on the administration's shameful and unlawful treatment of immigrants. There are too many abuses to name in 5 minutes.
Okay, yeah, you're going to go on and on and on. You're going to defend MS-13, Tren de Aragua. All right, Chewy, how about you just go down to the taco truck and pick me up some lunch, all right? According to Schiff, if you don't parrot their lies, you're next.
Of a climate I've witnessed with incredible rapidity the creation of a climate of fear by this administration. We see universities afraid to speak out, to defend their own students, to defend their own academic freedom. You see universities rushing to make deals with the administration. You see universities cowed into silence, not stepping up to defend other universities. You see members of the press excluded from public events because they don't use the administration's favored parlance. And you don't see other members of the press in solidarity with them. You see law firms rush to cut separate deals. You see lawyers purged from the Department of Justice. You see FBI agents purged from the Bureau. You see scientists purged from their agencies. A wholesale effort to weed out and drive out anyone of independent thinking, anyone who will stand up and defend the rule of law or science or the freedom of thought or expression.
Remember, Dr. Fauci is science, everybody.
Right down to ordinary citizens who are now afraid. If the government of the United States can pluck a man off the street and send him to a prison in El Salvador without any kind of due process or any process whatsoever.
Well, they're here illegally, and they don't get due process because the Constitution doesn't apply to them, Adam Schiff. Oh, man. Whatever. Oh, here we go. Jamie Raskin actually quoting Ben Franklin. But, of course, Franklin also warned against tyranny disguised as liberty. This isn't about law or unity. It's about a crumbling regime trying to save itself with lies and fake hearings.
For our country, there's no safety in selling out. And these people are teaching us what the meaning of the rule of law really is. Ben Franklin said, we must all hang together or we will all hang separately. Let's hang together right now. Let's stand tall, America, for our Constitution, our rule of law, and our democracy. And I yield back to you, Senator Schiff.
I thank you, Ranking Member Raskin, and we are adjourned.
And we are adjourned. Yeah, that's what the deep state looks like when they all applaud for each other. So share this story. If you're not done with the Democrat lies, the shadow hearing is a sham. Trump is fighting for you while they run cover for corruption. Follow Next News Network for real news the regime doesn't want you to see. So the shadow hearing isn't about justice or oversight. It's about survival. The desperate regime is watching as its grip on power dissolves in real time. They cry about trauma from being fired while Americans suffer under the consequences of their failed policies. They shame law firms for representing Trump, trying to create a one-party legal system where only their allies deserve representation. They attack immigration enforcement as a human rights abuse while ignoring the havoc their open borders have wreaked on American communities. The reality? Trump is cleaning house, ending their control of DOJ, CIA, and FBI, and they're terrified. The only question that matters now, and you can drop a comment on this, will the American people see through the sham? Did you even know it happened? Will they recognize it for what it truly is? The death throes of a corrupt establishment that's finally being held accountable? Make sure you stop by our merch shop at shop.nextnewsnetwork.com and grab some merch to show the world where you stand with the real news.